Okay, so just thank you for being here today because interviews are something that I hope will get my teachers all like excited, like, ooh, something different for like a website that we're making. So I just wanted to thank you for being here and just like helping me do this. And so, yeah, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
And so I'm just going to give a brief overview.
Okay.
So Louis Pasteur lived from 1822 to 1895. He came up with the process of pasteurization, which is like heating your food and milk to a point where it kills all the microorganisms and bacteria that live in the food and on it. So, and he developed vaccines for rabies and anthrax and chicken cholera, as well as helped with many different vaccines that were developed by other people, but he kind of gave the idea for it. So basically, the hot topic today is why people don't like to get their kids vaccinated is they think that it causes bad things like and negative side effects such as autism and other who knows what. But I just wanted to ask you about your son Ben, like what his story is like, and when did you get an idea of him having autism? Like when did you suspect that something was first wrong?
So Ben is 12 years old now. We had an idea that something was different, honestly, from the get-go. No idea it was autism at that time, and the symptoms wouldn't have led us to autism at that time, but now looking back, I can see correlations. He was diagnosed a month after he turned 2.
Okay.
We probably knew what we were looking at about 3 months before that. In most places in the United States, there's a very long wait to actually get an evaluation for a diagnosis for autism. So it took us several months to actually get the official diagnosis.
Okay, so thank you. So I've done a little bit of research on this topic, and so far I haven't found enough evidence that autism is caused by vaccines and what's in the vaccines, but I don't know what your position is on that. Would you like to explain your opinion?
Sure. I will say right up front, I am pro-vaccine. I think vaccines are amazing. I think they have changed the course of human history. And I think we can almost take for granted now the diseases that we don't have to contend with thanks to vaccines. I do not believe that vaccines cause autism or any other childhood disorders. I think the science behind that is pretty sound, and there's lots of large studies to support that. That said, I do have issue with the way vaccines are given in the United States. We tend to give a lot of vaccines to a very young child in the United States, and often all at one time. It's not uncommon at all for a 3-month-old baby to get 4 to 5 vaccines at one doctor's appointment, and some of those vaccines are probably multiple vaccinations within one shot. For example, the tetanus shot is not just tetanus, it's pertussis and it's diphtheria as well. So you actually get 3 different viruses, attenuated viruses, in one shot, which in most cases is not a problem, but I do believe in some cases that could overwhelm a maturing immune system.
Okay.
So I think in the United States we tend to do things based on cost and efficiency a lot, and we have a one-size-fits-all approach to vaccines that might not fit all children.
Okay, so thank you for that. And there's also vaccine recommendations in the United States. There are people, there's like even comments like on Facebook, there's people who are trying to get a petition signed to force people to vaccine their children. Do you agree? Like, would you sign that petition?
You know, I understand their concern completely. I have some of the same concerns as a parent to children. I have 3 children of my own. One's 5 years old. I do not want my children getting measles because somebody didn't vaccinate their child. That said, I am very concerned about a petition or anything that forces people to do things. And it goes back to my concern about the one-size-fits-all. I don't necessarily think what works for one child is exactly what will work for every child. And if we force people to do things on a schedule that's a one-size-fits-all, it may not work for every child, and the cost of that can be very high. If you look at rates of childhood disorders in general, autism, cancer, childhood cancer, asthma, diabetes 1, those have all raised significantly in the last several years. And we don't know why. We just don't know why. Although I think science across the board agrees there is some type of environmental trigger as well as a genetic component. So until we know what that is, I think anything that exposes our children to large amounts of any kind of toxin, including vaccines, because it is a toxin, that we should look at those on a case-by-case basis, individual to each child.
Okay, thank you. I think that tells us mostly what we need to know. So I want to thank you for your time to come here and help me out with this interview. I think you've provided some great information, and thank you just for coming to help me out with this.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.